You're sitting across from her at dinner, and the restaurant is loud, and the lights are dim, and she just asked you how your day was. And you answered the way you always do. Fine. Busy. Good. But underneath that answer, something in you is screaming. Because you look at her, and you recognize the exact look on her face. The one that used to mean, I can't wait to be alone with you tonight. And now it means something else. Something you can't name. And your brain starts doing the thing it always does. Why does this keep happening? Is this just what long-term relationships feel like? Do I still love her, or have I just gotten used to her? Am I the problem? Here's what no one has ever told you about that moment. Most people think the distance in their relationship is because the love faded, because the passion wore off, because life got in the way. But the relationship didn't get harder because your love faded. It got harder because your safety did. And that distinction changes everything. You're not failing at love. This is not a sign that you chose the wrong person. Every couple that has ever loved each other has stood exactly where you're standing. The reason this is happening, and the reason nothing you've tried has actually fixed it, is because of one specific dynamic that almost every couple hits, but almost nobody understands. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what it is, why it happens, and the one shift that changes whether you stay stuck in it or finally move through it. Let's get into it. The mindset reframe. Here's the thing. Most couples believe that when one partner seems distant or guarded, the other partner needs to be more patient, more understanding, more accommodating. You give them space. You don't push. You wait. But here's what nobody explains. That's exactly the wrong move. Not because patience is bad, but because the distance you're seeing isn't actually about boundaries or independence or needing space. It's about safety. When your partner sees you as too strong, too composed, too self-contained, too unbothered, her nervous system reads something completely different than what you're actually trying to project. Your nervous system reads, I'm fine. I can handle this. I don't need you to regulate me. Her nervous system reads, he doesn't actually need me. And here's what that does. It doesn't make her love you less. It makes her try harder. She starts testing, pushing, picking fights about things that feel small, stonewalling first to see if you'll chase, criticizing to see if you'll fight back, saying things that feel like attacks when she's really just screaming into a void, hoping you respond like a human being instead of a wall. This is the anxious avoidance cycle playing out between two people who both actually want the same thing, to feel close, to feel chosen, to feel like the person sitting across from them actually needs them in their life. And the dirty trick I'm talking about, the final move she makes when everything else has failed, is something most men don't even recognize when it's happening. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. And understanding it is the key to breaking through. The 7 points. Point 1, the withdrawal test. Most people in relationships don't realize this, but the moment one partner starts pulling back, the other partner's instinct is to push closer. You stop reaching for me, I'll reach harder. You go silent, I'll fill the silence with words. You need space, I'll smother you with presence. We think this is love. We think this is fighting for the relationship. But here's what your partner is actually feeling. When you pull back and she pushes in harder, something in her nervous system is quietly registering, he can actually survive without me. And that feels like rejection, even though you didn't mean it that way. The deeper emotional truth here is that she doesn't actually want you to be fine without her. She wants to feel like she matters to you. Like when she's not around, you feel the absence. Like she fills something in you that no one else can. And when you seem completely fine and self-contained, she feels invisible. So here is the disconnecting version. You come home from a long day and she asks what's wrong and you say nothing. And she pushes and you say, I'm fine. And she gets quieter. And you think, good, she gave me space. But she's not giving you space. She's grieving the version of you that used to need her. And here's the connecting version. You come home from a long day and she asks what's wrong. And you say, I'm tired and I missed you and I don't really have words right now, but I'm glad I'm here with you. And when you do that, her brain is quietly registering, he actually felt my absence before he walked through that door. And something in her settles. That's the shift. From being the partner who seems fine to being the partner who seems real. Point 2, the provocation pattern. Here's the part no one talks about. Most couples have a pattern where one partner picks a fight about something completely unrelated to what they're actually upset about. The dishes, the way you folded the towels, the fact that you didn't text back in 20 minutes. And most people fall into the trap of arguing about the content. You defend yourself about the dishes. You explain why you didn't text. You point out that her frustration doesn't match the actual problem. But the real issue isn't the dishes. The dishes are a proxy, a vehicle, a way for her to express something she doesn't know how to say directly. What she's actually saying underneath the fight about the dishes is, I need you to be more connected to me right now, and I don't know how to ask for that without sounding needy. And here's the deeper psychological truth. When you respond to her provocation by defending the literal thing she's upset about, you teach her that provocation is the only way to get your attention. So she escalates. The next fight is bigger. The next provocation is sharper, because the small one didn't work. Your nervous system reads this as criticism. It sounds like she's saying you're doing everything wrong, and your instinct is to protect yourself. But her nervous system is saying something else entirely. It's saying, please show me that I matter enough for you to stay engaged even when I'm being hard to reach. The disconnecting version. She says, you never help around the house. And you say, I worked 50 hours this week. And you immediately get defensive. And she feels completely unheard, and the argument spirals into a referendum on your entire character. The connecting version. She says, you never help around the house. And you say, something in me just shut down a little bit, and I don't think that's really about the dishes. Can we talk about what's actually going on? And when you do that, what's moving through her is, he just saw through me, without me having to break myself open to be seen. That's the moment the walls start to come down, without either of you having to say a word. Point 3. The comparison trap. Most couples, and this one's so common it almost feels like a universal law, go through a phase where one partner starts comparing the relationship to other relationships, to how other couples look, to what other people seem to have, to the version of love that exists in movies and Instagram posts and their best friend's marriage. And when your partner does this, it feels devastating. It sounds like she's saying you're not enough, that she chose wrong, that someone else could do this better. So you get defensive, or you shut down, or you internalize it as a wound that never quite heals. But here's what changes everything about how you understand this. The comparison isn't about the other people. It's about the gap between what she imagined love would feel like and what it's actually feeling like right now. She doesn't actually want the other relationship. She wants the version of connection that exists inside that comparison. The closeness, the electricity, the feeling of being chosen by someone who can't imagine their life without you. And the reason she keeps looking outside the relationship isn't because she wants to leave. It's because she's trying to show you where the gap is, where the hunger is, where she's still longing for something she thought she'd have by now. The deeper emotional truth. Comparison is the last thing a person does before they stop hoping. It's the final dirty trick of someone who hasn't given up yet, but is running out of ways to ask for what they need. The disconnecting version. She says, I just don't feel the same spark we used to have. And you hear, I want someone else. And you either explode or retreat, and she feels more alone than before, and the distance grows. The connecting version. She says, I just don't feel the same spark we used to have. And you say, I hear you, and I feel it too, and I don't want to just pretend it's not there. Can we talk about what we were like when we did have that spark, and what changed? And when you do that, she's not actually looking for the other relationship anymore. She's looking for evidence that you still see the gap too, and that you're willing to fight for the same thing she is. That's when a relationship that feels like a negotiation starts to feel like a refuge. Point 4. The emotional false wall. Here's the one most couples never figure out. There's a specific kind of emotional unavailability that looks like strength on the surface, but is actually the most isolating thing that can exist inside a relationship. And most people who do it don't even know they're doing it. It's the man or the woman who has learned to regulate themselves so well, to stay so composed under pressure, to handle everything independently, that they've accidentally built a wall that their partner can't get past. And here's the cruel irony. Every time you demonstrate that you don't need her to help you process, to comfort you, to hold you through something hard, you're showing her that she doesn't matter to you in the way that matters most. Not as a partner, as an emotional teammate. The deeper truth is that emotional availability isn't about being weak. It's about being vulnerable enough to let someone else inside the experience. And most people who look too strong have actually just learned to feel everything alone, because it felt safer, because needing people felt risky. Your nervous system reads vulnerability as danger. Her nervous system reads your unavailability as rejection. So she tries one more thing. She starts being passive-aggressive, noticing things, making comments, giving you looks, withholding warmth in small, calibrated ways that you can almost talk yourself out of noticing. And this is the final move, the last card she has left to play. Not because she's trying to hurt you, but because she's trying to crack the wall. She's trying to make you feel something, anything, enough to finally break through and be real with her. The disconnecting version. She makes a passive-aggressive comment, and you either ignore it completely or you get irritated and ask her what's wrong with her. And she feels more invisible than ever and doubles down on the behavior because, at least now, you're engaging. The connecting version. She makes a passive-aggressive comment, and instead of reacting, you look at her and say something like, "I think there might be something you're not telling me, and I want to hear it, even if it's hard to say." And when you do that, what she's feeling is, he finally stopped being the wall and became the person again. That's the shift, from looking strong to being present. Point 5. The intimacy sabotage. This one's going to sound counterintuitive. Most people think that when a couple stops being intimate, when the physical connection dries up, it's because one person stopped being attracted to the other, or because the passion just died, or because life got too busy. But here's what actually happens in most long-term relationships. The intimacy doesn't stop because the desire faded. It stops because the emotional safety thinned out. Think about it. When you feel emotionally connected to your partner, when you feel seen and understood and safe, your body wants to be close to them. You reach for them, not just sexually, but physically. You want their hands on you. You want to be near them. But when the emotional safety erodes, when you start to feel like roommates, or like you're managing each other, or like you're not actually known by the person sleeping next to you, your body starts to withdraw too. Not because you don't love them, but because your nervous system associates physical closeness with vulnerability. And you can't afford to be more vulnerable than you already are. And here's the dirty trick part. When she feels the intimacy fading, she doesn't usually say, "I feel disconnected from you, and I need us to rebuild the emotional foundation." She says something sharper, something that sounds like an attack on you, something about your body, or your performance, or whether you still find her attractive.